9 years after the Anti-Corporal Punishment Act passed, teachers were forbidden from disciplining their students with corporal punishment. This law has made teaching students much more difficult. There were few ways of addressing a student's open defiance of an instructor's authority. According to a survey of 1,196 teachers nationwide, 85.8% of teachers answered that teaching students was very difficult, and 98.6% answered that it was difficult. The peak of this issue was an incident where a teacher was assaulted by a student and died right in the classroom. The National Assembly and the Ministry of Education recognized the risk of a future collapse of the education system, and a proposal to amend the law to protect teachers' authority, suggested by the public, was passed. 2 years later, a student preparing to go to school was startled, along with his mother, when they saw a sophomore commit suicide by jumping from a high-rise apartment building. The name of the student who committed suicide was Daeseok Park, nicknamed Janta, meaning a person who is ostracized and bullied by the whole school. Because of this, he committed suicide. What was more surprising was that Kyungmin Kim, who witnessed the entire event, just stood there laughing. When he arrived at school, he was hit with a punch in the stomach, causing him immense pain. It turned out he was being bullied by other students. These bullies even used their phones to measure how loud his screams were in decibels to compare with each other. One after another student pinched his inner thigh, causing Kyungmin Kim extreme pain and making him scream. The group rejoiced and declared a winner. These kids were beyond help. Why did he keep enduring such suffering? The story goes back to when he first started being bullied. He reported it to the teachers, but the teachers only gave the bullies a half-hearted reminder and made them review their actions in front of the class. That was all the teachers could do, but it had no effect and even backfired. Kyungmin Kim's bullying and abuse became more severe. Somewhere, 3 teachers were outside smoking in a secluded corner. They complained about not being allowed to smoke, shout at, or punish students anymore. They mentioned a case where a teacher who scolded a student was posted online, causing them headaches. In the end, they agreed to just teach until the end of the school day, collect their pay, and leave the kids to deal with their own problems. Hearing those words, Kyungmin Kim understood that the reprimands during homeroom were just an act. He also realized that the teacher's words were not as noble as they sounded. They were actually a message telling him not to bother or report the bullies to the teacher anymore. Therefore, Kyungmin Kim had only 2 choices: transfer schools or endure 3 years of suffering. But fortunately, the situation had changed. The police had started to take interest in the case, and Kyungmin Kim thought the truth would be revealed, and the bullies would be punished. However, the police concluded that the sophomore's suicide was due to academic pressure. This conclusion stunned Kyungmin Kim. Thus, his situation with bullying remained unchanged. He began to have thoughts similar to the bullied sophomore. Kyungmin Kim decided to free himself and make the school face the consequences. Suddenly, someone said, "Don't do it. Don't die when people are watching." It was a rough-looking man. Kyungmin Kim asked, "Why did you come up here?" The man replied, "You need to be up here to see the true face of this school." Then he got down and told Kyungmin, "Jump tomorrow, but for today, take me to the administration office." Kyungmin Kim led him to the administration office. The man asked, "Why do you want to die?" Kyungmin replied, "I can't endure this anymore, not even for one more day, and no one is willing to help me." At that moment, a kid ran up and kicked him straight in the head. As Kyungmin Kim clutched his head in pain, the bully grabbed him by the collar and scolded him for not getting spicy chicken on time, then slapped him across the face. Witnessing this, the man grabbed the bully by the hair, yanked him backward, and slapped him hard, sending him flying. Kyungmin Kim was surprised, thinking the man was a teacher. The bully, seeing this, smiled and challenged the man to hit him again. The man said something and then grabbed the bully by the collar, punching him repeatedly in front of everyone. The bully threatened that his brother, a famous YouTuber, would spread the incident online. The man responded, "Oh great, I'll become a star." Unable to take it anymore, the bully stood up to fight back, but the man tripped him, making him fall flat. Then the man pinned the bully's head against the door, pulled out a police baton from his jacket, and struck him hard. This ensured that the bully would only be able to sleep on his stomach for a few days. The bully screamed in pain and the students were in shock. Then he collapsed like a felled tree. At this moment, the vice principal arrived and asked who the man was. The man said he had just received an appointment to work at the school, then threw his official ID card in the vice principal's face. It turned out that the newcomer was Na Hwajin from the Ministry of Education's Office of Protection. In short, schools like this one, where teachers evade student issues and bribe the police to cover things up, would be investigated and handled by Na Hwajin and his special agency. More importantly, the Ministry of Education allowed them to use any educational methods without restrictions. After saying this, Na Hwajin swung his baton close to the vice principal's head. I must reform the true education of this school, Na Hwajin confidently declared. After Hwajin introduced his identity, the principal and vice principal rubbed their hands together, looking fearful. They bowed obsequiously before Hwajin, boasting about their connections with Congressman Ryu Kwang-pil of the ruling party. Two teachers tried to bribe Na Hwajin by placing envelopes on the table. Hwajin placed his heel on the envelopes and said, I'm not an inspector, so your bribes won't work on me. Stop this bribery nonsense because it's very unbecoming. The principal and vice principal flipped him off as he turned away, feeling resentful. Hwajin turned back, startling them, and asked about the class of Dae-seuk, the student who had just committed suicide. In the classroom, a male student was being forced to drink alcohol by his classmates. Unable to stand it, he spat it out and was then brutally beaten by a bully in the class. Nearby, a group of female students discussed the video of Hwajin hitting the rebellious student. At that moment, Hwajin entered the class and introduced himself as the substitute teacher. He had shaved and put on glasses, looking very scholarly. The entire class was puzzled to see the new teacher. Despite this, the class was chaotic, showing no respect for the teacher at the front. Hwajin began calling the roll. When he called out Ryu Jun-hyung, the student remained asleep due to being drunk. After a while, he reached the name park Dae-seuk. At this point, the atmosphere in the class changed. A brazen kid said, that idiot jumped off the building and killed himself. When it was Park Byung-soo's turn, his face looked worried. The same kid accused him of drinking soju in class. Hwajin sniffed the bully's shirt and remarked that he also smelled of alcohol. Hwajin asked, did you two drink together? The bully replied, no, I'm just sitting next to him, so. But Hwajin quickly pointed out that the scent of drinking and the scent of being around someone who drank were different. Hwajin concluded that the boy, Hak-jae, still smelled of alcohol from yesterday and had forced the other student to drink to take the blame. Realizing he had been exposed, Hak-jae sat up abruptly. With this behavior, you killed Dae-seuk, didn't you? Hwajin took off his glasses and switched to a serious mode. The kid kept making excuses and lying. Hwajin didn't wait for him to finish his sentence, immediately clamping a hand over his mouth and dragging him away. I intended to give this school a quiet day, but this kid is too unruly, Hwajin said, then threw Hak-jae across the room. He ordered the class president to take Byung-soo to the infirmary. I've investigated and found that this school has 3 trashy traditions, Hwajin said. First, teachers neglect student issues. Second, the culture of school-wide ostracism. And lastly, even if a classmate dies, you all remain indifferent, as if nothing happened. Hwajin said, then hit the rude kid on the head with his notebook, knocking him out. He then reintroduced himself. I'm a member of the Office of Protection, Directive to the Ministry of Education. I'm Na Hwajin, the field supervisor. And since the establishment of the Office of Protection, your school has the misfortune of being chosen as the first case. All of this is a result of your own actions. Hwajin said sternly. Now I'll count to 3. Everyone stand up, or you'll end up like him. 1, 2. Before he could count to 3, a voice came from the student who had been sleeping the whole time. You guys sit down. Don't listen to that guy. The male student said. The class hesitated, but he shouted, I said sit down, you bastards. The students began to nervously sit down. It seems they fear me more than they fear the teacher, he said, standing up and challenging the teacher. Hwajin opened the student's file to gather basic information. Ryu Junhang, come to the front, he commanded. I don't want to, was the response. If I come to you, you'll have a problem. Go ahead, try and see who'll have a problem. The tension in the classroom rose. All right, I'll try then, Hwajin said and began walking towards Junhyung. But when he got close, Hwajin walked past Junhyung and kicked the classroom door, revealing the principal and vice principal eavesdropping. They told Hwajin, that kid is the son of a congressman. You should act carefully or you'll face difficulties. The kids following Junhyung looked very smug hearing this. Thank God. I almost made a big mistake, Hwajin feigned surprise. Seeing this, the congressman's son put his hands in his pockets and arrogantly walked out of the classroom. Suddenly, a hand grabbed Junhyung's face, causing him pain. The person who grabbed him was, of course, Hwajin. He seized Junhyung's face without even looking back and said to the principal, Do you know, principal? This kid is the ringleader of the school. Because high-ranking individuals like you keep groveling and flattering him, he treats teachers like monkeys. Hwajin continued, This kid's behavior sets a precedent, so other students don't respect teachers either. That's how the special tradition of this school was born. After saying this, Hwajin threw Junhyung forward, causing him to fall. I will have to eliminate this tradition to restore educational authority here. So if you want to obstruct me again, principal, I'll make sure you receive a lesson from me as well, Hwajin threatened the principal. Vice principal, summon all the teachers to the gymnasium to meet me, Hwajin ordered. Meanwhile, the congressman's son lay on the ground, furious. At the gymnasium, in front of all the gathered teachers, Hwajin opened his locker. Inside were various items like baseball bats, batons, wooden swords, and whips. Each teacher should choose an item to discipline these unruly students. I'll take full responsibility, Hwajin declared. The teachers were astonished. One man stepped forward. It was Teacher Kim. He selected a wooden sword, looking very excited. This feels just right. How long has it been since I last saw you? This is the epic revival of the golden cue stick. His eyes lit up. Other teachers also chose items that suited them, as if reminiscing about the old days. A week passed since that day, and the school had changed significantly. One teacher was making 4 troublesome students do push-ups and hitting them hard on the buttocks with a wooden sword for forcing a classmate to buy them cola. Are you beggars? If you want to drink cola, use your own money to buy it. Why force others to buy it? Witnessing this scene was truly satisfying, folks. The homeroom teacher joyfully announced, the era of peace has returned. The teachers even came up with various unique punishment methods, as if competing with each other. However, there were still some students who didn't accept these changes. They bravely resisted the teachers. These individuals were personally taken care of by Hwajin in the special counseling room. Given that it was a special room, its effectiveness was extraordinary. Everyone who entered came out as a model student. Not willing to accept this reality, the delinquents gathered on the rooftop, but found themselves without any viable plan. Eventually, they came up with a despicable scheme. At noon, Hwajin was chatting with Kyungmin. The student said he was currently very happy and felt that this school was now a worthy place to study, but he was also worried that things would revert to the old ways once Hwajin left. Hwajin gave Kyungmin a firm pat on the back and reassured him that he had already made plans for the future. At that moment, a student beaten black and blue came running to Hwajin for help. Hwajin told him, "Follow me." But suddenly, the student pulled out a knife and stabbed Hwajin from behind. Hwajin remained calm, twisted the boy's arm back, and decisively removed the knife. He took the student to the special counseling room. The boy, now scared, was handed a mirror by Hwajin and told to hold it up to see his wound as Hwajin stitched it up himself. The impressive physique of Hwajin was evident. He asked, "Who ordered you to do this?" "Confess. I already have a suspicion, but I want to hear it from you." "No one ordered me. It was all me." The boy screamed. Thunk! The knife was driven into the table precisely between the student's fingers, silencing him. Hey, this could make you rot in a cell for years because of attempted murder. Are you more afraid of them or me? Think carefully, Hwajin threatened. After a moment, Hwajin stood up and said, "Sigh, I got it. Just get out of here. The opportunity was in your hands, but you didn't seize it. Helping kids like you is just a waste of time." "Why?" Jin said harshly. "But if I tell, they'll kill me like they did Dae-seok," the boy pleaded. The bullied student held his head in his hands, crying as he recounted the story. Dae-seok was a brilliant student, loved by everyone. Jun Hae-young, on the other hand, hung out with delinquents and was the school's top bully. Initially, they had nothing to do with each other and never clashed. Until one day, a teacher scolded Jun Hyung for sitting with his feet on the desk. Not only did he curse back at the teacher, but he also tried to hit him. Suddenly, a punch landed squarely on Jun Hae-young's face, sending him sprawling. It was Dae-seok who threw the punch. From that moment, Dae-seok's suffering began. Every day, he was surrounded and beaten by the delinquents, ostracized, and tormented at school. Worse, his father's company was pressured to the brink of bankruptcy, leading his father to drink away his sorrows every day. Dae-seok begged Jun Hae-young to stop, but Jun Hyung coldly replied, "It will only stop when you're dead." Dae-seok's eyes burned with helpless rage. What happened next is known to everyone, but the police didn't dare touch the son of a congressman. "Now I'm the one being bullied and ostracized." The boy sobbed as he recounted his ordeal, but when he looked up, he saw that Hwajin had fallen asleep at some point. Infuriated, he thought Hwajin was pretending to sleep to avoid dealing with Jun Hae-young. Hwajin handed him his phone. "Is this good enough?" he asked. Meanwhile, the delinquent kids were puzzled, not seeing any police or ambulances. Hwajin put his arm around the bullied boy and approached the delinquents. "Do as I instructed," Hwajin whispered to the boy. The boy walked up to Jun Hyung and landed a perfect uppercut. As two others grabbed him, Hwajin swiftly took them down. Jun Hyung, now on his feet, threatened the boy, who showed no fear and instead displayed his phone screen to Jun Hae-young. It was a news report about his father, Congressman Ryu Kwang-pil, being accused of sexual harassment and corruption. Jun Hyung was stunned, unable to believe the reality unfolding before him. Memories of his unhappy home life flashed before him. His father frequently beat and berated him for poor grades, calling him a disgrace to the family. Yet at school, the teachers pandered to him, indulging his every whim. His classmates did the same. Even when he was taken to the police station after the Dae-seok incident, he was initially terrified, but the officers, fearing his father's power, let him off. That was when Jun Hae-young realized he could get away with anything at school. He was the king there. But now, with his father disgraced, he was experiencing what it felt like to be the victim, spat on, and looked down upon. Shocked, Jun Hae-young vowed to take revenge on anyone who dared to challenge him. Everything was witnessed by teacher Hwajin. Jun Hae-young demanded that teacher Hwajin punish the rude students as he did every day, but Hwajin said, "I don't care about you anymore. My job at this school is done." When Hwajin left, the culture of bullying and ostracism returned to the school. However, this time, the victim was the one who had created it, Ryu Jun Hae-young. At home, Jun Hyung was once again subjected to beatings by his father. The reason was that a video of him hitting a fellow student and insulting a teacher was broadcast on television. The beatings continued to rain down on him. Exhausted, he lay sprawled out like a corpse, mumbling to himself. That night, he snuck into the school, pouring gasoline everywhere. But Hwajin kicked him in the stomach. Hwajin casually lit a cigarette and then threw the lighter onto the gasoline-soaked floor. Jun Hae-young became terrified, his face turning pale. The flames burst forth and rushed towards him. Jun Hyung tried to run but couldn't escape. At that moment, he knew fear and cried out for help, finally admitting his mistake. "I was wrong. Someone please save me!" He screamed in panic. Just then, Hwajin used a fire extinguisher to put out the fire and saved Jun Hyung's life. "Surely this fear is something you won't forget until the day you die. Playing with fire will get you burned," Hwajin said. Jun Hyung was still terrified. Hwajin continued, bullying others with the backing of a gang, oppressing others with power. Because of these things, someone's life can become a living hell. And when you realize what you've done, that's when you face similar retribution. Furthermore, you must take responsibility for your actions. That's the true education I'm pursuing. But no matter what I do, Dae-seok won't come back to life. At least this will make you feel guilty for the rest of your life. After saying this, Hwajin left, leaving Jun Hyung there alone. The next morning, Hwajin appeared on television, introducing himself and presenting evidence of Ryu Jun Hyung's crimes. The police immediately arrested Jun Hyung and his accomplices. After that, Jun Hyung's father was also removed from his political position. He had to hold a press conference and resign from his seat in the National Assembly. This incident created a media storm. On this side, a luxurious car left the airport. In the car was a very beautiful secretary expressing her opinions to what seemed to be a high-ranking official. Suddenly, a shabbily dressed person stepped out and blocked the front of the car. It was Congressman Ryu Kwangpil. He seemed quite disheveled. The man in the car got out. Ryu Kwangpil encountered the man, who turned out to be his senior from university. Ryu Kwangpil still didn't understand where he went wrong, why this person had harmed him to this extent. The elegant man scolded Ryu Kwangpil and told him to discipline his unruly son before talking to him. This man was Chae Kang-suk, a politician with 26 years of experience, a 6-term member of parliament representing the former ruling party, and currently serving as the Minister of Education. Then, Kang-suk entered the press conference room. Unlike other politicians, he was not eloquent, always straightforward and fearless, highly supported by the people, but feared by the press. Many reporters asked about the implementation of special education methods in some schools, allowing physical punishment for misbehaving students, but the minister showed no hesitation, firmly supporting the activities of the Education Authority, where Hwajin works with an extremely tough attitude. On the other side, Hwajin sighed. He said he would go explain, and now he's declaring war. How did this person become a 6-term member of parliament? Hwajin teased. Who are you talking about? A voice echoed. It turned out to be the minister. He greeted with father, only to be kicked straight in the face by the minister. Who's your father, you wretch? Then, they both went to visit someone named Gae-yoon's grave. Jin said, do you think Gae-yoon would like us doing this? The minister replied, the dead can't hold a grudge. That is a misery reserved for the living. The minister asked, which is the next school? Jin replied, Sunmaik School for Advanced Education. The headmaster put in a personal request. Both of them found it odd, because normally if there were any issues, the school would cover them up. But if the principal directly requested it, then it must be very serious.